I'm Moone from Moone Drama, and this is Moone Interviews. My guest today is Celine Hispiche, who is from London, UK. She's based in Soho, and that's where she has started her Celine Salon, a literary cabaret, which is an ongoing performance of writing. Is that right?
That's correct, yep.
So how did that come about?
Well, I just want to say it's lovely to see your face after so many years. Really lovely. This is a really nice treat. And thank you for inviting me. You know, it's lovely to be interviewed by you. Celine's Salon is a literary cabaret which evolved 5 years ago when I was doing lots of like cabaret shows, writing, and a friend of mine owned a very lovely bookshop, which was at night became a private members club. And she said, why don't you run a writing salon? So I was like, yeah. And it was started off with me and probably about 10 people. And now it's myself as the host, 9 writers once a month. And we get anything from up to 60 to 100 people for one show, which is great.
So where we go back is all the way to, the late 80s, early 90s, right? And we were in writing workshops together. We were at the Royal Court Young People's Theatre. We were putting on being the Young Writers Festivals in the Royal Court. And we did LBC Radio, didn't we?
Yes.
April's classes with Elise Hudson. And then we went
Hanif
Qureshi. That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen him since then, but have you?
I've bumped into him, and he's on a billboard as part of one of the great minds in history down by Waterloo Bridge. So I do actually see him a lot. I'm like, hi.
And then we went to the Royal Court Summer School, the International Summer School. But we got ourselves, scholarships?
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Lord Sainsbury.
Yes.
And then we met a whole bunch of like massive, way up there, directors, writers.
And it was put on at the Tabernacle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Our place.
And the theatre upstairs at the Royal Court.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I went on afterwards and did another one. I think I was 28 when I went back. And I was a bit naughty because you had to be 24. I went, I'm 24. I could get away with it then. And I went back and did another summer school, and they put my play on because we did Green Bananas. Do you remember that? Do you like? Yeah. The second play I did was about 2 grandmothers that do a great robbery.
Oh wow!
And one's religious and the other one's a bohemian artist, and they hold a bank up together. They put it on at the Tabernacle with professional actors, and I was the featured writer from that school, so I ended up being in the newspapers.
Oh, congratulations! And then you went off, and you went off to France, and then
America. I was in America.
So what was going on there?
Well, it's sort of during that time of knowing you and being at the Royal Court, and I really enjoyed. That was really special for me to be able to go to somewhere like that, because I at home wasn't allowed to do anything. They didn't want me going into that kind of profession. So, please, can I go to drama? And I was like, no. So I would literally sneak out and go and do my thing. And once I was free and no one could be, I was like, right, I'm going to do everything I want to do. And I started really developing my comedy routine. I started doing lots of gigs around London, Bristol. And then I did the main stage at Glastonbury Festival. So I was getting really, higher and higher. And then I went to New York with my best friend on holiday, and I met an agent who was a comedy agent. He was like, well, come on, do an open mic tonight. So before I know it, I'm on bloody stage in New York. And I'm like, he's like, fantastic, let's do another one. So I ended up doing Rodney Dangerfield's club. And then less than a year, I moved back, and I spent 3 years in Manhattan, touring the East Coast, performing on Broadway, working with casts from Saturday Night Live, did a couple of little films, nothing major. But for me, New York was really the embodiment of enthusiasm, confidence, and like, let's go for it. Everyone's like, we like you got balls, lady. You got big balls, lady. And I was like, okay. And so from there I developed, because I really love history and I'm half French, and learning about sort of Paris and Toulouse-Lautrec, I started developing comedy characters with full-on costumes. So I play a woman from 1895 with like corsets and smoking a jeton and hello, monsieur. and I'd play an old man from the Victorian times who hangs out in opium dens in Limehouse, and it's sort of, and then people I met in America, and I met the woman that only worked out when she was hungover. So I developed that into a character. So you can imagine this New York sort of ab fab lady is like, oh, let's go to a party. Next day it's like, but I just like people make me laugh. And so, yeah, I kind of created my own style, and I took that cabaret everywhere. I came back to London, I went to Berlin, went to Spain. Then we got up to the Edinburgh Festival, where I was given money by a private patron, and I put on a huge cabaret with a cast of like 20.
Wow.
And it's always been, and I still do the cabaret show. I'm due to go back, which I'll explain to you a bit later. But because I write all my own monologues and my songs, and I always love collaborating, the Raw Court was the real influence for the feel that I wanted in my evenings. You know, the main thing is it's basically platforming new people's work.
Exactly.
Giving people encouragement, giving them confidence, going, come on, you can do this.
Yeah, I found that very beneficial as well, because if you study drama and you study theatre studies and things like that, well, you get a sense that everybody's so great that you could never make it, because you're critiquing your own work all the time. But the moment somebody lets you just write what you want, you're free, and then they're not exactly critiquing it, but they're just giving a feedback of how do you feel about that? Do you like it? How does the audience, or the people at the reading, feel about it? And it's very open and it's very supportive. And then there's some suggestions like what you could do to make it, to improve it. But the tapping into your raw talent was the main thing, and I think that's essential. And it's a bit of a shame that there's no more Royal Court Young People's Theatre, isn't it?
Well, I'm in the process now with what was happened with COVID and the current climate in the world. I kept those salons going via Zoom, and my dream now, it really made me go back to the drawing board. I think everyone really re-evaluated their lives, and still are, because we don't know whether it's still here. We don't know if there's going to be a second spike. It's just a weird thing, but you've got to keep going. And you're like, right, I found it really hard to write during the COVID lockdown. It's like, come on, you got to get. So I thought, right, do the Zoom. And then it helped other people have something to look forward to every month.
Yeah.
I ran a children's book club / creative writing workshop where they wrote their own little children's book. I taught 6 adults how to write a comic monologue. It was keep helping me survive and take my mind off, because the news was just depressing. I was like, oh no, I don't want to hear it. Please, I want good things to happen, Out of that, I want to get a tour bus. So I'm looking at applying to the Arts Council and taking the show on the road and going to different areas around the UK, Scotland, Wales, you name it, and finding that raw talent and really honing in on places with low art engagement that don't have the privileges that we have in cities.
That's an amazing synchronicity, because that's what I want to do here. But I want to focus on radio drama, because it's been lacking attention. If you take out the stage and you take out the performance space where people have to gather and sit together, then it just becomes like this theatre in your mind, where you just can close your eyes and imagine the whole thing. And that's what I want to do, is to develop new writers through radio drama. I was inspired by that LBC. Do you remember, look, I kept this. Do you remember that?
Oh my God. I haven't got that.
And it comes with a cassette.
Oh, wow.
I can't play it.
Oh.
But we were doing...
old school.
So old school, right?
Are we on the front of that? Is there a picture of us on the front of that?
No, our stuff went on air and I can't find it. I don't know if it's archived or not. But we did write and put our stuff on air. I'm trying to see if I could put proposals together.
Any help? I'll help you, yeah.
Oh, awesome. You want to get a tour bus that goes around the UK? Yeah,
we want to get like one of those, the new double deckers, Boris, but you could transform it into a pop-up, and I've got my own radio show now in Soho. So I've got a Celine Salon radio show, and that would come on the road. And even on the radio, I platform every act that we have. We have people like Mark Wallinger, artist who's on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square. We get guest authors, we get bands, we get, you name it. It's a real lovely, diverse group of guests. And with that, you know, taking that on the road, and you don't know what you're going to find when you're travelling.
No, exactly.
Plus, I'm a bit of a hobo. I love being a troubadour, and my husband drives. I'm like, it's great.
A hobo boho from Soho.
Hobo boho from Soho. Yeah. Soho boho boho.
Yeah, with a bit of punk as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I love.
You know, I was listening to that music, that track that you made.
Papa Bauer.
It was awesome. It so reminded me of my 80s youth. I was listening to that and I was thinking, well, that band is about 10 years ahead of its time.
That's a huge compliment.
2010, and now it's 2020. I think that music is really ripe for now.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's in because somebody wants to re-release it, and I am actually going back to work with Dave Ball, who is basically, he set up the band, and he is the genius that is the keyboard player with Soft Cell and another band called The Grid. He's worked with loads of people. Even Rihanna's taken one of his keyboard riffs for one of her, you know, he's really respected in the music world. He brought out in me, it was almost like premonitions. There's a couple of songs on there where it talks about London changing, Hogarth, bricks crumbling down. But we did another, I was a guest on Annie Hogan's album, which had Kraftwerk on there and Lydia Lunch, all these like a lot older, like punky, but they invited me on there and I did like spoken word. And it was just before the lockdown. It's all about the ghosts of Soho and how London is being raped of its identity and gentrification, all of that. And it was like, oh my God. So going back to you saying it was forward thinking, I felt like that. It was always how I felt and what I saw in my imagination. I feel that it spooked me out a little bit. And I was like, it's all right, but you could feel the tension in the air. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, although I haven't been in London for the last time I saw you in London was 2016, right?
Yeah.
I came and we had a cup of coffee in Soho. The whole feel of the London vibe has completely changed. I think this is our era. It's the Generation X that has come to the fore and felt right at home as like a latchkey kid sitting at home on their own, you know, twiddling their thumbs and doing their own thing. But the imagination that we develop. You do want to preserve the nostalgia, but also change the world. And we've never had that outlet. We've never had that opportunity. Like ahead of us were the boomers and behind us are the millennials. And we sat there quietly, like watching the whole thing go on. But there's so much that our generation has to say. And I think it's about time we say it. Some sort of boho punk is the right avenue for that.
Well, that's how that's my next project is called the Modern Day Electronic Cabaret. And it's all going to be talking about what's going on, but in a sort of Berlin-style punk cabaret. So I quite like that. And I'm going to do it as a one-woman show.
That sounds inspiring. Yeah. So if people were to want to come and see you and participate in the kinds of projects that you're setting up, where do they go and how do they contact you? Or how do they get into being part of Celine Salon, for instance?
We've got our own Celine Salon page on Facebook, which has been it started at the beginning and we've now got over 1,000, nearly 1,000 followers. So I use that. It's easy because people know on Instagram. I just got into I was really sort of anti-social media for a while. Like, no, I'm conforming.
Yeah.
I'm going to grow a lizard tongue if I'm not careful. But now I'm like, right, okay. And my husband's really on it with techie things. So we use, everyone contacts me. It's obviously word of mouth is always the biggest thing, but they can just go onto Facebook, Celine Salon, and Instagram. You can message me, anyone can. I'm open to every age, everything goes. Poetry, storytelling, monologues, guest authors. songwriting. I like that element of there being music in it. It gives it a nice, you know, keeps it chugging along. Everybody does a 5-minute turn, and we have a residency normally in a private members club called Gerry's on Dean Street, which on the nights of those shows is open to the public. So they can always see on Facebook when I'm doing something. But we've put it on hold until the new year. I'm doing 2 private gallery shows, one in October and one in November, with Celine Salon. And then we're going to just wait and see, get all this viral thing. Hopefully it's gone by then.
Yeah.
But nobody's opening up because it's a basement. They won't open it.
But right in Dean Street, right there in the centre of Soho.
But, you know, that was the other thing. Before the lockdown, we were due to go to Glasgow. We were due to go to Plymouth, Devon. I've taken the show to Totnes. That worked really well. We took it to the Caribbean last year. So I really want to get it, you know, I want to be a global network with my events and collecting the writers. I want to come to Malaysia. I want to do a salon.
Yeah, I want you to come to Malaysia as well. Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia.
Yeah.
When the borders open.
How is it there for you at the moment? Is it?
Malaysia's battled the virus really, really well, contained it and everything, so that we are safe to go out, but we do have to wear masks. And the problem is that we can't really open to the rest of the world. It's the perfect time to get plans made so that when borders do open, we can inject life back into where there
Exactly.
wasn't. The arts have suffered a lot, you know,
Definitely.
worldwide, because when artists can't meet, can't produce their work, finances are strained, so, you know, nobody can really put on much. So a lot of artists have been doing stuff for free, which is not easy because you've got to find an income somehow. Shrink, but carry on. Write a lot. So when we come out of this, there'll be so much writing to put on.
No, I'm ready to write now. I can feel it. I'm like, right, okay. My main thing is looking after, keeping myself fit and just getting on with it. And yeah, I just want to look forward to the future and get everything. Just keep, like you say, keep the option. Have, you know, we have to have hope. Exactly. I am a hopeful thinker, and I don't give up. You know, it's why you got to hold the torch for the arts. It's my life. I breathe it. It's my passion.
Yeah, especially when you had to fight to become part of the arts. You had to say no to all the conventional things that everybody expected you to do. You know, if it's a sacrifice, so be it. You know, society can't accept that. Well, boo. That's it. Yeah. If we have to strive a bit longer, then okay, we'll do it. Well, I know you've got to go because you've got some radioing to do. And I just want to say it's been fantastic, although short, to have this conversation. And I think we should catch up again sometime. Like, I
would love to come back. I would love to come back and talk.
Yes.
I would very much like to do that.
And give us some demonstration of your work as well. Unless you've got something up your sleeve right now.
Well, I will. I could do something. So basically, I always have a theme each month for a show. So we've had themes like Bohemia from the whole Boho of Soho. That's the whole boat of Boho of Soho. And I sort of get people to go off and write, and we'll have poems. But I also have to perform a piece as the MC, the mistress of ceremonies. I have to warm the crowd up. But I also get a chance to put a bit of my work in. So I'd like to close with A Lady of Soho. When in Bloomsbury you must have met the divine Doomsbury set. You'll see them from far away. They do put on a display. Large feathers with hats, black and white spats, so colourful tweeds, hands covered in beads, laughing and joking, pipes they are smoking. They are the Doomsbury set. When walking the streets of Fitzrovia, donning a suit from a tailor, fresh off the boat from Dover, a drunken falling French sailor, and propping up the bar, a woman who's lost her teeth. It's good to keep afar. She's known as the toothless thief. We are the Doomsbury set. When walking the streets of Soho, in the steps of bohemian ghosts, there's something we all should know. We now play their hosts, and legs up against a streetlight, she'll tell you never to go. A very familiar sight, a lady of Soho. Oh, my lady, don't you know, in the shadow of Soho, a woman of demure, a familiar character, never getting too demonic while sipping gin and tonic. Oh, my lady, don't you know, a lady of Soho. I love to take a stroll to the nearest watering hole, another face in the transient crowd, for the warmth of my funny shawl. Male friends purely platonic, talking business, how ironic. I'm a lady, don't you know, a lady of Soho. The artists and the dreamers, the beggars and road sweepers, the tickets and the touts, the laughters and the shouts. I'm a lady, don't you know, a lady, don't you know, a lady of Soho.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Celine Hispiche from Soho, the lady of Soho, the Soho Boho. Hobo.
Thank you so much.
It's lovely. So we'll catch up again, see how things are turning out, and if you get your art funding, let us know, and we'll follow you.
Okay, great.
Where we are.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you. Bye.
Lots of love, Amin. Thank you.
Bye.
Moon. Bye.
Yeah.
Remember to like, share and subscribe to More One Drama for the choicest, tastiest, most wholesome drama around.